So guys, we are now about 2 to 3 days in to Pittsburgh Steelers training camp, and I have not yet made a video talking about all the things that have been going on. We got to see our first look at Aaron Rodgers in a Pittsburgh uniform. Same with Will Howard, even though we saw him in OTAs. This was the first time we saw him in a real competitive setting. So in this video, I really want to kind of recap what's been going on, show you some of the highlights, the news, everything going on with this team, because there is a lot. We have some 11-on-11 and 7-on-7 film to break down, and yeah, man, there's a lot going on. Football is right around the corner, and before I do get into everything in this video, I would really appreciate it if y'all did me a big favor. Hit that like and subscribe button, and also hit that post notification bell so you never miss another upload. There's a lot to get to, and the first thing I want to start off with is a quick personal note, and that is that Jonnu Smith was back at practice today. He was present in day 1, but he did not participate in any team drills. This time around in day 2, he looked ready to roll, at least for light work, and that's big for the offense considering the group had a rough start in the first session. We also saw Jalen Ramsey grab that interception on the very first play of team drills against Aaron Rodgers. It kind of became a big joke, but the defense did come out firing. But getting Jonnu Smith back and working Jalen Warren into the mix more consistently, plus the trio of wideouts in DK Metcalf, Roman Wilson, and Calvin Austin, that should elevate things on the offensive end. There was one play from yesterday that really stood out when I was kind of doing research from everything that happened that did not give enough attention. Hopefully I can find the clip to show to you guys, but if not, I apologize. The play started with a play action fake with Rodgers stepping up in the pocket and delivering a quick pass to Roman Wilson, and this is one of those classic examples of just like taking what the defense gives you. It was nothing fancy, just get the ball out and move the chains, even though I know there's not like pressure on the defensive end up front. Deshaun Elliott wrapped Wilson up quickly in what would have been a tackle, but keep in mind they aren't tackling at this portion of practice. But what really jumps off the screen is the pressure from Alex Highsmith off the edge. The move he pulled was lethal. He set Broderick Jones up by attacking the outside shoulder, then he planted and exploded inside with a ridiculous change of direction. Probably would have been a sack in live action. This is exactly why the Steelers edge group is elite. When you've got TJ Watt, Highsmith, and Nick Herbig all rotating off the edge, it just never stops. Back to the practice updates though from day 2. Even though Jonnu Smith was suited up, pre-practice walkthroughs showed him only doing individual drills on the side. He wasn't in the team reps. Cordero Patterson was also absent from practice, but the biggest headline came in the form of a roster move. The Steelers officially signed the veteran safety in Chuck Clark. Clark is a 30-year-old who spent time with the Ravens and Jets, and while he's coming off an injury, he brings a ton of experience to the back end. And with how the Steelers have been rotating Jalen Ramsey between nickel and safety and Juan Thornhill anchoring the deep middle, the addition of Chuck Clark gives them even more flexibility in their sub packages. And depending on how they align Ramsey, Clark could be that deeper safety when Ramsey moves down to the nickel. Either way though, it adds a trusted veteran presence to the room and shores up the depth behind Thornhill. And as a Browns fan, I can tell you all about that guy. But anyways, let's pivot to the wide receivers. From what we've seen, the 3 main guys rotating with the starters are DK Metcalf, Roman Wilson, and Calvin Austin. DK and Wilson are usually lining up on the outside, with Calvin Austin operating out of the slot. That's been the default look when the Steelers go 3 wide. There's also been some rotation with Robert Woods, but so far, Wilson and Austin have really stood out. Roman Wilson especially seems to be taking a massive step forward and could very well be playing himself into a major role this upcoming season. As for the red zone work, the team got into 7 shots, a drill from the 2 or 3 yard line to simulate goal line scoring situations, and right off the bat, it wasn't clean. The first snap was pretty rough. Jalen Warren went in motion, but the snap was low and the play was blown dead. Center Zach Frazier, a rookie brought in to solidify the interior, has now had 2 bad snaps in 2 days. And while it's early and chemistry between a new center and a new quarterback like Aaron Rodgers takes time to build, these kind of miscues can't become a trend. The quarterback-center exchange has to be locked in, especially in red zone scenarios. But things did start to click a bit more after that. Rodgers came right back with a beautiful ball to DK Metcalf in the corner of the end zone for a touchdown, and then that was followed up with another fade pass to Metcalf, but it was incomplete. It was a great defensive effort by Joey Porter Jr., who's been stacking strong reps all camp. I really expect for him to have an even bigger breakout year in 2025. There was no safety help over the top on that play. And with trips to one side, Rodgers had a clear read, which meant it was go time on the fade. The ball placement was solid, maybe slightly high, but still, it was a very catchable ball. And credit to JPJ for sticking with it and contesting the catch all the way through. Mason Rudolph then got a couple of reps according to my notes. The first one was incomplete, he threw it a bit too high. The next one was a short slant to Scotty Miller for a touchdown. It was the kind of throw you need to hit clean and early to stay in rhythm. Then it was Will Howard's turn, and he had one quick attempt, it wasn't a touchdown. And then Rodgers stepped back in and fired a dart to Pat Freiermuth for another red zone score. Great execution on that one. And let's break it down a little bit deeper. The offense was in trips. There was motion before the snap, which forced the defense to communicate on the fly, and they didn't. And that led to a little rub route concept. Freiermuth runs a quick out, and the outside receiver essentially screens the defender by cutting inside and then redirecting back out. And if the defense is in man and doesn't switch, that's an automatic win. Rodgers hit Pat clean in the flat for an easy touchdown, and it was just good football. He recognized the mismatch. He manipulated the defense with pre-snap motion, and the execution was perfect. Before practice wrapped up, we saw one last offensive rep that was worth mentioning. Rodgers dumped it to Caleb Johnson in the flat, and Johnson made the most of it. It was a nice pickup. These are the kind of simple but effective plays that start to add up in training camp. They may not go viral, but they show that timing is coming along between the quarterback and the running backs. And those checkdowns can be the difference between 2nd and 10 and 2nd and 5, which is just huge. Every single foot, every single yard matters. So to summarize the 7-shot session, there was one bad snap to start, followed by a Rodgers to DK Metcalf touchdown. Then a fade to DK was broken up by Joey Porter Jr. Mason Rudolph went 1 for 2, missed the first, hit the second to Scotty Miller, and then Will Howard's rep fell short. Then Rodgers closed things out strong with a touchdown to Freiermuth, followed by a clean check down to Johnson to wrap it up. So overall, I think it was a good day. There were some early growing pains for the offense, but there were signs of progress, and the defense looked sharp, especially in the red zone. Highsmith is already in mid-season form, and the secondary with Jalen, Ramsey, Porter, and now Chuck Clark added to the mix is looking more and more dangerous by the day. The offense is building chemistry. Rodgers is starting to find his rhythm with the new weapons, and guys like Roman Wilson are showing they're ready to take on bigger roles. So yeah, I'm going to continue to make these videos. I know this was my first one, and I know I was kind of just all over the place rambling. I did a lot of research as to everything that went on. Hopefully I could find a lot of the footage. You'll know by now if I did or if I didn't, but if I didn't, I apologize. But yeah, if you enjoyed this one, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe. And one more thing before I do finish this off, Aaron Rodgers and a few other guys spoke to the media about how the day went, so I want to show you some of the highlights from that.
Yeah, you know, I think we completed one out of a couple that we had his way, but you know, DK and I have worked out in the off season together. Got a good relationship. We talked about, you know, a lot of football stuff. We FaceTime, we texted during the off season after minicamp. So we got a good relationship. It's going to just keep on growing.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff said right there. Thank you all so much if you made it to this point in the video. And if you did, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you haven't yet. And if you enjoyed. And until next time, I will see you all later.